We're here at the tiny house at day too many. Believe it or not, we've been here for 5 weeks now, and what seemed like a very small, quick project has turned into a little bit longer and, of course, more expensive project. And part of that is because everything here is quirky. It's not a standard house, which I am used to building standard houses, and I'm going to walk you through some of the things that are wacky about this place that made us really scratch our heads and had to think deeply. We'll basically start on the outside and the foundation portion and walk you through some of the things that we didn't get to take a deeper dive into on the Perkins Builder Brothers channel, and that's why we're doing it here. Well, I'm already standing here by the deck, so I think this is a great place to start. Almost everything about this is different than a standard deck. Let's look down here at the ground here. We've got these like footing type blocks. I think they call them castle blocks because of the shape of them. They look like a little castle. They're super convenient. There is no footing below this. It literally is sitting on the grass and on the dirt, and our 4x4 is not connected to it in any way. So we're counting on gravity here, which is pretty reliable in these parts. You can see on the side of the deck right here beside the house, it's also sitting on its own little foundation because we're not bearing the weight of the deck on the house. There's really nothing to attach it to anyway. The only part that we did attach is the roof. You see we put just a 2x4 ledger against the old fascia board and attached our roofing boards right to that. So basically you can imagine that half of the weight of just the roof is bearing on that board. So we're talking about a 2-foot section by 8 foot. That's how much weight we're putting on the structure, which is basically next to nothing. I gotta say that getting this trailer leveled to start with was a real challenge. I wasn't looking forward to it, and it was awful, and everybody else struggled during the whole thing, and it was just as hard as I thought, maybe even worse. But it's okay now, it's very stable, and I'm happy with the result. Another thing that I knew I would not be looking forward to would be doing this underpinning. Now this is just what I guess we call it a skirt, really, and it's 2 pieces. It's 1 piece is insulation and 1 piece is a cover, which is this metal roofing, which is available and relatively inexpensive, and it won't rot and it doesn't need to be painted. And if I hit it with a weed whacker, it won't be damaged. We went back and forth for actually quite a while trying to figure out what material would be the most ideal for this. And the metal roofing won after all of our thinking. I did regret not checking the grade on this site before we parked the trailer here. You know why? Because there's a little bit of a low spot under the trailer, as I think we pointed out in the videos that are out there. And I would love to just have a nice continuous slant that went under this, so any water that could get under it would just pass through and go out the other side. So in order to make sure that we didn't get water ponding underneath, we actually dug down about 3 inches into the ground all the way around the perimeter, and our foam and our metal actually is knife edge cut into the dirt. I'm going to bring a little bit more dirt in right here to fill in where it's a little bit of a low spot, because when it rains, we're at the bottom of a hill and water will flow down here and could eventually get inside. I did have some concerns about moisture underneath, and so we actually put a vapor barrier down like a standard crawl space. So there's a 6 mil poly vapor barrier on the ground covering the dirt and the grass, and I don't have any way for air to move in and out of that space. And it's a little bit of a maybe not the best thing in the world, but this is a temporary structure, and so we just can't go too nuts. Everything about this in our mind, we have to be thinking it's temporary, it's portable, it has to be easily removable. So all of the requirements for my thinking of the materials and the way that we install them are based on those things. We're going to try to shoot some film on the dark side of the moon here. We're on the shaded side right now. This front of this thing, we had some discussion about what to do with it because it was covered with a siding material, okay? But really this is a roof, and I gotta say it lasted amazingly well with the siding that was on it, but I didn't want to leave it that way forever because I knew it was going to be problems for me later when this thing actually does rot out for real. So again, we use this same available, easy to install material, this metal roofing. We put a nice piece of flashing up top that I made in the shop, and we tucked it underneath those cedar shingles there, which I thought actually looked kind of nice enough. Now this is kind of a big, bright, reflective surface here, and I'm really good friends with the woman that lives in the house next door, and I told her, look, If this thing is so reflective that it blinds you every day when you walk outside, let me know. I want to come and paint this the same as the siding color. But for now, we're going to leave it. I have kindly referred to this as the snowplow, the front of this thing. It's like the front of a train or the front of a giant snowplow. What do you think? Pretty nice, huh? A little bit of an unusual shape feature here. And it's a little quirky, but this whole thing's quirky. Well, that pretty much wraps up the outside, so let's go inside and have a look. You can see inside here, it is like basically done, which is making me very happy, by the way. I love the way that it turned out with the wood floors. Basically everything else is white and nice and clean looking. And it smells good. Smell it in here, Ben. You smell that? That's the smell of a new house, because that's what it smells like. Fresh paint and polyurethane. And you'll notice right here, we got some nice cold AC blowing through our brand new Della. Look at that. All right, so the old AC unit, they said it worked great, and we hooked it up, but it was all burnt out and blown out, so we threw it away. And we got a brand new one, so this just got installed today. I want to talk about the floor a little bit right here. Now, this floor is a wood 2x4 frame laid flat, okay? And those flat 2x4s, you can imagine, are the floor joists, and they're sitting on top of some angle iron pieces that the trailer is made of. Okay, now they don't actually touch. There was like a gap, like 3/4 of an inch of a gap, and so you had this 2x4 that could flex. And I'm thinking, well, this is totally crazy. So Ray actually crawled through there for one last time for me, and we jammed him some 3/4 inch thick wedges that I made out of hardwood to actually support the floor in the middle. And actually, I think this thing is bowed in a little bit, like the walls lean in. Back in the hallway where John was at, you could actually see it if you have a keen eye, because the doors are actually closer to each other at the top than at the bottom. I don't know. I don't think it really matters. But at any rate, we made our best effort to sturdy up the floor so that it didn't feel bouncy. One of the wackiest things we had to do in here to make an improvement on the design, because of the tight space, is to use 21-inch vanity cabinets. And that just means like a bathroom sink cabinet, not made for kitchens. This hallway was so tight before, I had to walk sideways through here, and I thought this is just super terrible. And given the compactness of this whole place, I didn't think it would be bad to use a little bit less deep cabinets. So we bought vanity cabinets, and there's complications though, okay? Because they're just not available in all the different sizes that you can get kitchen cabinets in to build a whole kitchen, right? So we bought these standard base cabinets that are designed for a sink. Let me show you the sink cabinet here. We bought 3 of the exact same cabinet, and you can see this top drawer is a dummy. There is no drawer, and they're built that way because when you install a sink, the sink consumes the area where the drawer would be, right? So you don't need a drawer for a sink base. We call that SB, all right? Sink base cabinet, all right? Now, we have 3 of them, and then these would have been wasted space, but in order to redeem that space, I actually took these back to the shop. I knocked off these face frames that were nailed in place, by the way, and almost destroyed the face frames. And I was able to make a drawer box that would fit and some nice heavy-duty full extension drawer slides, and put that all in there. And now I have some pretty nice storage, and you need to maximize every bit of storage that you can in this, small of a space. So that's one thing that was a little bit of extra work that we had to customize in order to accommodate this narrower cabinet. I am really happy about this countertop. It's a nice granite, or actually I don't even know what this is. It might not be granite. What do you think? Quartz? I think it is quartz. Well, we got lucky that Brett had a remnant at the granite shop, so we didn't have to buy this. I guess Brett bought it. Thanks, buddy. So it was relatively inexpensive for us to get this machined with a sink and the backsplash because the material was already paid for. We did put a wacky sink in here though. Check this out. This is a bar sink like you would have for a little prep sink, and it's just happened to be the right size, but actually it's turned sideways. So you notice the drain is off center because normally like this would be the front of it, or this, I don't know which way it would go, but we just turned it sideways because it was the right size. There's not a lot of options when you go to find a sink in this like size to fit in this size of a cabinet. You just start getting limited options. All right, let's back on up here to the fridge. Originally, we had a little countertop fridge, like a college dorm looking fridge, and there was nothing wrong with it, but we decided to change it up for this larger one here, which is pretty nice, and a freezer, so that's pretty sweet. And we wanted to raise it up off the floor, so I built this little riser. I'm gonna try to back up out of the way here and show you. We built a 16-inch tall riser with a toe kick built in and a big drawer. There we go. And you can see I put double drawer slides on it to make it extra strong and sturdy. And I think that's a really good thing to have some extra storage right there. And yeah, I ran out of things to say. If you don't know what a remnant is in the granite countertop world, it's just a leftover piece of granite from somebody else's kitchen usually. They're smaller pieces and you can get really good deals on them because they can't make a whole nother kitchen out of those parts. I gotta point out something we changed mid-build too. There was going to be a cooktop right here. It was going to be cut out into the counter, and actually this drawer would not have been usable. It would have just been a dummy blanked off drawer. We decided against it though because the one that we bought and had sitting here the whole time was too big. When we actually went to install it, it wouldn't fit. We decided just to go with one that you can set on the countertop, like maybe an air fryer or a little hotspot cooktop or a toaster oven, any and all of those. We have a dedicated circuit right here that is wired underneath the counter so that if we ever did need a hardwire one, we have a nice box in here. Let's see if you can find that. Oh, there it is. All right, so we can hardwire if we wish in the future, and we can plug one in here if we need to right now. It's gonna get a little tight, but I need you to join me in the bathroom here, Ben. All right, come on in, don't be scared. I think, well, I was gonna say this is where I think we made the most improvement, but I would say that about every space in this little place, all right? So the goal is to maximize the usage of the space because you have so little, and to make it nice. Originally, we had like this curved quarter round shower, I think, and it wasn't that bad, but there was a little weird space left over. Wasted space, I would say. So we got a 36 by 32 shower. I'm gonna go ahead and get in here. The shower head is not very high, but that'll actually help the water from not splashing out. We bought a 36 by 32 shower pan floor. That was great. I will say, I know why they didn't put one in here to start with, and I don't know if we really showed this in the other videos. When I drilled the hole for the center of this drain, and you can't move a drain, where this is where it's going. Right underneath this is a metal joist that's part of the trailer. And I bet anybody else that had done this previously was trying to avoid that. So what did we do? We just sawed right through it, okay? Like, well, half of it, okay? The minimum amount that we had to, all right? And I had my plumber to, you know, try to get the fitting in there the best that he could without having to cut more of it away. Is it compromised? I don't think so. It's totally fine. After we got that pan figured out with drilling and all that, the next thing was to put these shower walls in. This is a little kit. It's not that bad. There are some things about it I didn't love. But again, we were limited in options. But this is pretty nice. I'm actually really happy with it. And then the shower door. This whole thing cost a ton of money, by the way. Just to get this shower switched out. I bet the pan was $300-400 bucks. The wall kit was like $600 bucks. Or something. I don't know how much the glass door, it was a lot. It was a couple $1,000 at least just to do this. I did not hang this glass door, but I watched the guys. I know it was a real pain. The wall was out of level, and so we put a big shim under there. It's aluminum. I actually kind of machined that out and made a nice shim. And then over here, actually we had to add an aluminum strip to fur this out because the width was wrong. Basically everything about this was a complete struggle. All right. Now, let's trade places. Yeah. The tables have turned. Look at you in the shower. Put your clothes back on. No, I'm just kidding. Something I gotta figure out is this bifold door. This thing, look, it opens by itself. There's no track at the top. I don't know if there ever was a track. There's no room for a track. I haven't figured this out yet. But put a little magnet, some little catch, because you don't want the door just floating open like that. All right, so the star of the show in here is this special toilet. In order to save space, again, we're doing wacky things. This toilet is the most compact one I could find that would fit underneath this ledge and allow us to scooch it all the way back. I think that was a great idea, even though this toilet costs 3 times as much as the cheaper version that's not special. Okay, you can get a toilet for $200 maybe. This was like $600. So it seems crazy, but at the same time, that's the only way that I can figure out to get more virtual space in here, and I think it was worth it. The first time I walked into this place, before we ever moved it, I noticed how squishy the floors felt. And that was a weird feeling, because I've walked on a lot of rotten floors and falling down stuff, but never felt like squishy. And it turns out that there was a 1/2 inch of rigid foam insulation underneath the wood flooring. Well, I say wood flooring, I don't know what it was. Some kind of snap together flooring that came out very easily to our delight. And what I learned is that that insulation was probably the only insulation for the whole floor system, okay? So all the heated air in here was only retained by that. Now, there's plumbing underneath this thing, and you don't want your water lines to freeze or even your drain lines that have P-traps in them. So that's why we decided to ditch the foam on the floor and apply this new wood flooring directly to the subfloor, which I think is great. And then to add our outside insulation, the 2-inch foam board around the entire perimeter. So now basically this whole crawl space and the floor system up is insulated from the outside on the perimeter, which would include the space where all the plumbing is. And I think that'll keep it a lot better protected. And I really don't have any concerns about it freezing in here. Whereas before, it would almost be guaranteed to freeze. Let's take a look up the hallway and up the stairs into the bedroom. As we pass through here, I want to point out these pretty awesome looking little closet doors. I just made my version of what was already here. This space was such a wreck. I hope... This space was such a wreck. I hope somebody can appreciate what it looks like now versus what it looked like before. I almost couldn't even make sense of this. I had to, one wall at a time, figure out what to do with it to close it off. These little doors here, I made a video just all about how they were built. So check those out on the Let Jamie Talk channel and you can see all about it. Ben, you can get the camera in here and check out the closet space. There we go. Jono is still working in here. We got a closet rod that's going to go up in there. And these spaces pretty much got all rebuilt as well. And a lot of the pieces are removable. Look at this. The doors open all the way flat. So if you need to leave it open, you can. Underneath this platform down here, there's some access to the plumbing and even extra storage that you could pull those shelves up. They're not attached in any way. And also this one has the water heater. And this is an expansion tank. I don't know what that does. Plumber says I gotta have it. All these wires back here also were exposed, so where the wood paneling is, it's covering up all the wires to make it much safer, and I think that's really great. We just tack those boards on with a few little brads, so if we need access, we just pull them off. It's no big deal. Welcome to the bedroom. This is about 7 feet by 8 feet, by about 7 feet tall. It's actually nice that the hallway is right in the middle because that's the tallest part of the roof right here. And I'm not sure where the bed is gonna go. I guess against that wall over there. Probably be the best place. The person that's gonna be living here is gonna bring her own furniture, which is good for me because I don't have to worry about providing it or anything. I'm excited to see how it's going to be arranged given that it is very small. Originally there were some cabinets built into the wall right here. They were like upper kitchen cabinets. They had these weird little framing things protruding out. It looked like really terrible actually. So we decided to delete all of that and I have my drywall guy to fix this up. Another weird thing actually, given that this is a tiny house, is that the drywall was like 3/8 thick or quarter. Not standard drywall. Do you know where they have not standard drywall? Nowhere. We had to drive an hour away to go get one piece of drywall just to patch up these couple of little spots. So that was a little bit out of the ordinary. I got lucky that all the windows were good. Nothing's broken or cracked. They're actually really nice. They cleaned up pretty nicely. And it's pretty well lit in this little bedroom. I actually think it's a great little perch here and not a bad place to live at all. Up here in the bedroom, this is kind of cantilevered out over the hitch portion of this trailer, and so it does not have the crawl space type insulation like I was describing on the rest of it. But we did use the same material to insulate. The 2-inch foam board is applied directly to the bottom of the subfloor, and it's completely taped off with zip tape, which I think that's a huge improvement actually from the foam that they had before, which again was underneath the wood flooring. So all of the underneath of this was exposed before. So I think it'll be, I'm thinking 3 to 4 times better as far as the insulation, having it outside instead of inside. That is just about a wrap. There's just really not a whole lot to see here because it's so small. But thanks for sticking around. I want to say one more thing that was the biggest struggle of this project. It's that it was so small and we had so many people here to work. Not just my 5 or 6 guys, but 2 or 3 electricians, 2 or 3 plumbers, and 2 or 3 heating and air guys. You get all those people. Even just parking your vehicles in a really small area like this is a struggle. And then the hallway is a really constricting space. If you need to pass somebody in there to get by, you're not getting by. And if you try, you're gonna scuff up the wall or the cabinet and I'm gonna get upset. So thanks again for checking out this Let Jamie Talk in the Wild video. There will be more to come. And if you want to see the rest of the video series on Perkins Builder Brothers, make sure to check those out where we basically build the whole thing from scratch and you can catch all the details there. Peace out, and if you want to know about tiny houses, don't ask me because I don't know. Right. So we decided to punt on that one. There are some really nice, let's see. There are some really nice ones that you just set on the countertop and plug in, and then that's what we decided. And try that again. Just go ahead and cut it there. No, you're good? Yeah. All right. We decided to go with an option of, Jono. All right. Thanks again for checking out, what is it called?